Want help to grow your business? Download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.
Hi, I'm Dale Beaumont and welcome to Business Book Success. In this series, we're showing you how to write, publish, and market your own book to help your growing business. I'm here with Jaqui Lane, and Jaqui has published over 400 books in the last 30 years in her career, and I'll be talking a bit about my experience as well, having published just 15 books. But we're going to be combining our knowledge to help you to go on this journey and sharing with you all the important things that you need to know. And this episode specifically is how to write and edit your book the right way, and we're going to be covering some really important information. So I've got a whole bunch of questions here. They're going to be asking our resident book publishing expert, and so I hope you're ready for all the information that's going to be coming your way. Jaqui, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we're going to get into talking about writing and editing your book the right way, because there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do it, right?
Oh, absolutely, and it's really a lot about it is around process and thinking and planning.
Okay, great. So let's get into it right now. So when it comes to writing our book, if we've made a decision, okay, I'm now ready to write my book, what do we do first?
The first thing is not to start writing, weirdly enough. Really, I'm very passionate about this, is that it's really important that people sit down and have a very clear idea about the challenges that their particular audiences face and what special or insight or knowledge that they bring to that. So to be very clear about what they want to write about, and then to kind of map that out and to have a look at that. And so do no writing to start with at all. Plan it and be very clear about that.
So we've obviously got the 15 questions that
Yes.
we've covered in another episode. One of those questions is, who is the audience
Yes.
for the book? But you've also said, going further and going, what are the unique challenges or issues that they're experiencing?
Absolutely, because a lot of people say, oh, I want to write a book because I want to share my knowledge, which is lovely, but that knowledge needs to be useful for other people or their target audience if in fact that book is going to be successful.
Yeah.
So I think making that distinction is really, really important very early on.
Yeah, I think it's really important because a lot of people, they do say, I want to get this message out, but they go into sort of preaching mode. They're like, people need to hear this, they need to hear this, they need to hear that. But if you're not writing stuff that people actually want, then all you're going to be doing is, selling people a product that they never asked for, and then it's not going to address their specific concerns or issues or their kind of needs. So
that's right. So going back to that thing, is great that you want to write a book. Kind of put that to one side and think about your target audience. Who are they? What are their challenges? And if you're not quite sure, go and ask some people. So get that really clear. And so you don't do any writing initially. You do some homework and do some really clear thinking. And then from that, you can write some bullet points down about the key topic areas. And then you start filling in those topic areas.
Okay, great. Now, some people will say that I'm not a very good writer, but I still want to write a book, but I'm just not a very good writer. I've tried, but I'm slow, or I just get confused, or I don't know how much detail to go into. What do you suggest for those people that are maybe, challenged when it comes to writing, but they want the result?
Okay, well, firstly, I'd say go and do that first step. Do the thinking and planning. A lot of people that I work with have said, I can't write a book. And I said, well, tell me what it's about. And after about 30 seconds, they're not kind of clear. So a lot of people who find it difficult to write haven't actually just sat down and had a really good think about what it is they want to write. And so that's one group. Another group who've done that and they actually can't write or haven't written since they were at school. There's a couple of options, and we've talked about some of those. They could get someone else to write it for them, so pay someone to interview them and go through that process of, I guess I call it brain dumping, if you like, and then get somebody else to write their book. Or they could talk, they could record, they could talk to themselves, or and get that written down and transcribe it, and then get that basic material and start from that. So there's a couple of ways to do that.
Okay, and that type of person is oftentimes called like a ghost writer.
They could be a ghostwriter, they could be a journalist. There's any number of people who are writers.
Professional writer.
Professional writer.
So they could either find someone that is local
Yes.
to them, or online. There are people now all around the world in different kind of countries, and you'll have to decide on your level of quality that you're looking for.
Yeah.
But they can interview you, write the book for you.
Yeah.
But essentially it's your content.
Correct.
And then you can choose whether or not it's just your name on the cover, or whether you're going to put, a word like "and" this other person, or "with this other person,"
Yes.
or not at all.
And I think, there's any number of places like Freelancer and Upwork, so there's any number of ways you can go and find those people. And the only thing I'd say around that is make sure you have a very clear contract in place.
Absolutely.
Getting a bit off topic, but really important.
Okay, great. So when it comes to then the writing part of the book, we've done all the planning.
Yeah.
And we're ready to start. Do we just start with, chapter 1 and start typing, or what do we do first?
Yeah, chapter 1's usually a pretty good place to start. Oftentimes, though, I've said to people, make sure you get your introduction right. There's a great, phrase when you are public speaking. Tell people what you're going to tell them about it, and then remind them. So often I get people to spend a bit of time on their introduction. Gives them the clarity and the focus. That sets the tone for the rest of their writing. Normally, if you've done your plan, it would flow. Having said that, I have started books at different parts. If you haven't done it before, probably the best idea to write from the beginning to end, because you can always move the chapters around once you've written it. Key thing is to start and get it down.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing that sometimes has worked for me is, before I then start sort of typing, I just decide on all the things that I want to share or say or think that are important. And I've in the past just used Post-it notes to kind of write down just little kind of ideas, because I know that I could talk about that for maybe a page or two. But if I could see them all on oftentimes a wall, or sometimes in a notebook, then I could either start with the beginning, or I could start with one that's kind of easier, that I kind of am confident in.
Yeah.
And then once I've done 5 or 10 of those, then I feel more empowered. I've got some momentum, and then I can attack the harder parts.
And you raise a good point too. A lot of people actually have written blogs before, and often blog posts might be the start of their book. And they might take a number of blog posts and actually kind of reorder those. So there's a number of entry points.
Okay, so people start obviously the writing, and then there's different ways that people go about doing that. Do you find it's better for people some people go away for like a week, and they just, will start in the morning and they'll just write all day, it's like sort of that style. Other people go, I'm going to do like an hour every morning or an hour each night. What have you found kind of works best for you?
As a writer, I think it's hard for most people to go away for a week with other commitments, and they're running a business. But I recommend that people, if they're planning to write a book, that they set the goal to do it and a time frame. And then minimum they should spend a couple of times a week, minimum 2 or 3 hours. You can't get much done in an hour that's actually worthwhile, because it takes time to get your brain into what you're writing. So I'd say people really need to factor in 2 or 3 months, 2 lots of 2 to 3 hours a week if they can, and ideally should be the same time.
Yeah.
That way it becomes a priority and it gets done, because most people start and don't stop because life gets in the way and other things become a priority. So become very clear about the time frames that you're going to commit.
And how do people know when they're sort of done? They either just when they kind of run out of things to say, or they aim for a certain word count. What is your thoughts?
Again, if they've done their planning properly, they will have their chapters, they'll kind of get through it. They'll get to the end, they'll know they're at the end of the first draft. And again, that thing is that your first draft is only your first draft. So my view is get it down. Get what you need to get down, put it away, come back to it. And then if you need to write more or change things around, you will do that 3 or 4 times. And kind of when are you finished? You're never finished.
But you just decide to stop.
You just decide to stop.
Yeah. Okay, because you can always keep going in and tinkering with stuff
Correct.
and rewording
Yeah.
stuff.
And if you and also you really never finish. But as you mentioned earlier, at some point, if you've got another book on you, just finish this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now in terms of word count, some people go, do I write 5,000 words? Do I write, 50,000 words? What's a sort of like a rule of thumb? And we mentioned before that big, thick books, don't sell as well as ones that are kind of shorter and straight to the point and give people, to call them like the airport reads, you jump on a plane in LA and you can finish it by the time you're in New York. So ones that don't take weeks or months to get through.
Yeah, look, I think 15 to 20,000 words for me is, I think, a reasonable size book. And again, if you're going back to this sharing value kind of scenario, someone's going to buy your book maybe for $25, $30. They want to get some knowledge and some value out of it. I think 15, 20,000 words, I wouldn't go much more than that. A little bit less might be okay as well. The art of writing is to write less, not more. So I tend to not get so hooked up in the quantity. I'm more interested in the quality.
Yeah, okay, because I'm sure you've had people do this as well. They call you up and go, I've got 80,000 words, what do I do now?
Yeah, and my eyes glaze over. I usually say go back and rewrite it and cut some, But even in that process, just because you're cutting words out of a particular manuscript, that might be the beginning of another book. Or you might use that content online. It just maybe isn't, maybe that's too much for a book.
And I think it's really important to realise now that before you had to put everything in your book because there was no other conversation to be had. But now you can actually say, if you'd like to find out more information about this, then go to this URL that you can set up. So it could be /video1 or something like that. And you can have a video there that goes into that in more detail. So you're taking...
To continue enjoying this presentation, download BRiN, the world's first business advisor in your pocket. To find out more, visit BRiN.ai or search the App Store today.